Yeah. Hello, Israel. It's great to be with you on the Lord's Sabbath day. Nothing but love for the Israel family and the family of Adam. Everybody is children of Adam, and the Lord accepts anyone who wants to come under His rest. Well, today I'm bringing a topic that a lot of people talk about it. It's this one world government, and you know, a lot of people have no understanding what it's all about. Um, you know, um, People scared. They link it to the mark of the beast, everything. But uh, the name of the lesson is the New World Government, aka One World Order. Um, People throw things like the Illuminati and all these things. Have no fear for none of them. The only fear that you should have is for your Father, Jesus Christ. That's who you should fear. Have no fear for none of them, because all these things have to happen. Anyway, we're going to start this lesson out in Genesis, because even way back, the beginning of men, they wanted a one world government. So let's start this off in Genesis 10 and 1. And it says, "Now these are the generation of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Because on the other side of the flood, everybody came out of Noah's sons. And unto them were sons born after the flood." So after the flood, he says, sons were born unto them. And so this is when man started over after Adam. Let's jump into in verse 8. "And Cush begat Nimrod." Cush is who? The dark race is the Africans. And so it says, "Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth." Verse 9. "He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, at the beginning of his kingdom was Babel." So this is the first kingdom on earth. So it says the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. "And Eresh and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar." And so this was the beginning of his kingdom. And so it's Babel, Eresh, Akkad, and Calneh, and this was in the land of Shinar. Verse 10 says, no, verse 10, let's go into chapter 11. "And the whole earth was of one language." And so here it is. The whole earth was of one language. And this is what they want to bring this thing back to. They want to bring it back to one world government, where one government ruling the whole earth. That can't happen. The only person who could do that is Jesus and the Father. He didn't tell man to do that. Man wanted to do that, but who tell man to do that? Satan. And Satan wants to mimic everything that the Father does. "And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelled there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had bricks for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city, and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." And so the Lord tell them to go out, be fruitful and multiply, they wanted to stay in one place. They wanted to make this one world government. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. So you hear what the Lord said? He says, behold, the people is one. He didn't tell the people to be one. That's the reason why the Lord is saying, behold, the people is one. And they had all one language. And this they began to do. So he says they had one language, and this is what they started to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. And it was, it was this is just wickedness, because they were disobedient to the Father and obedient to their father. Verse 7, go to, let us go down. Let's go down there and confound their language. And so he said, let us go down and mix up their language. And in order for them not to be on one accord, he break them up and give them different speeches, give them so they couldn't understand each other. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build a city. And so that's what the Lord wanted. He wanted them to go out and replenish the earth. And so he scattered them abroad. And so that is the first, back then, that's the first government where they wanted a one world government. And so nothing, let me read Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. This is what the Lord says. It says, the thing that had been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. So all he's saying here, the same things that was done in the past, it's done in the future. Just like in the 60s, people used to wear the afro, and then after, they wear the bald head, then they wear curls and trends. It go in and it goes out. There's nothing new under the sun. One time it's in, the next time it's out. The next time it's in, the next time it's out. And that's what this is saying. And then it says, and there is no new thing under the sun. And so just like how Satan wanted to get this one world government, so he could sit on top of it. The same thing in this end, because he's the one that pushing this one world order. All right, so let's start this off. Let's go into Revelation. We're going to go into Revelation 12, 1 to 5. Verse 1, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And so this woman had 12 crowns on her head, and she was travailing, and she was ready to give birth. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. And so, even in in Genesis, when God let two trees grow in the garden. One was good and evil. One was the tree of life. And just like he's saying here, appeared a woman travailing with thing to give birth, and that's Jesus. And then it says, and there was another wonder in heaven, and this is the dragon, which is Satan, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And so that's what happened when he got kicked out of heaven. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered. And so he stood before the woman who was ready to be delivered. Like when Jesus was ready to be born, and they wanted to kill him, which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations. So no, this is the government, and this is the man who gonna rule all government with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to the throne. So this is Jesus. So he was delivered, and he did his ministry, and he got caught up, and now he's sitting on the right hand of the Father. And the woman fled into the wilderness. And so this woman, this is us, this is Israel, where she had a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. All right, let's go let's go into 19, Revelation 19 and verse 15. And so the new world government, this is who's going to rule the new world government. Not them Illuminati, none of them. Anyway, let's go into 19 and verse 15. And it says, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And so he said this two-edged sword going to smite the nation. So what's going to happen? All the nations of this earth, he's going to bring them down to his knees, and he's going to bring his government. And then it says, and he treaded the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of Almighty God. Because he have to get rid of all this world government in order to establish his government. Alright, next let's go into Isaiah 9, 6 and 7. Isaiah 9, 6 and 7. It says, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. So this is the new world government, not the one that everybody keep hearing about with the Illuminati and that. That's nothing. That's nothing. This is the real government here. It shall be on his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Verse 7, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end. So when he established this government, there will be no end. And it was peace with no end. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth. Not the justice that this government gives. You know, you go to court and they put their hand over the Bible and saying in to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and they sit up there and tell nothing but lies. And then it says, from henceforth even forever, the zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. And so that's what he says. He's the one who's going to establish this government. Let's go into let's go Psalms 22. Psalms 22, 27 to 28. Psalms 22. And it says, all the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto the Lord, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. And so, when he brings this new government, everybody's going to worship before him. All the kindreds of the earth. The kindreds is the people. For the kingdom is the Lord, and he is the governor among the nations. So you hear who's the governor? Jesus. He's the governor who's going to rule this one world order, this one world government. 2 Chronicles 26 and 7. And it reads, and said, O Lord God of our fathers, art not thou God in heaven, and rulest not thou over all the kingdoms of the heathens? And in thine hand is there not power and might, so that none is able to withstand thee? And so, power and might is in his hand. None of these nations could withstand him. And these nations, they're going to want to fight Jesus, our Lord. And I have no idea. These people think that they could fight against Christ. Flesh and blood. You can't even fathom, what these people thinking, that they could stand and fight against the Maker, the one who created them. Verse 7. Art not thou our God, who didst drive out the inhabitants of this land before thy people Israel, and gavest it to the seed of Abraham, thy friend, forever? Psalms 9, 5-9. Psalms 9, verse 5-9. Psalms 9. It says, thou hast rebuked the heathens, thou hast destroyed the wicked, thou hast put out their name forever and ever. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end. So, he's going to destroy these nations and then set up his government. And thou hast destroyed cities, their memorial is perished with them. And so all the memorial, all the stuff that they have up, when he comes, all of it going to be destroyed. But the Lord shall endure forever. He had prepared his throne for judgment. And so they're preparing for this one world order. He already prepared. This thing was from the beginning. He already set this government up. It was just a matter of time. He was giving us a time to rule and gave dominion over this earth. But now man has messed this thing up so bad that he's coming to rule. Verse 8, and he shall judge the world in righteousness. Not the righteous, not the way that this world judges. He shall minister judgment to the people in unrighteousness. So here he's saying that when he comes, he's going to destroy all the people who's unrighteous. The Lord also would be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in time of trouble. So he's going to be a refuge for the people who wants to be with him. Hebrew 12 and 22. And it reads, but ye are come unto Mount Zion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels. So this new world government, this is where it's going to be, in Mount Zion. And everybody heard of Mount Zion. They know that it's Jerusalem, and the book tells you it's Jerusalem. That's where this one world government is going to be ruled from. All right, let's go into Psalms 135 and 21. Psalms 135 and 21. It says, blessed be the Lord out of Zion, which dwelleth at Jerusalem. Praise ye the Lord. So, is Jesus over in Jerusalem now? No, he's not. And so, that goes to show all these people say they're going to be raptured off and they're going to be in heaven. Here he's saying he's going to be out of Zion, and he's saying that his government is going to be in Zion. That means he's going to be here on earth, not in heaven. He's going to rule here on earth. Let's go Exodus 18 and 21. It says, moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. So, when this new world government is here, he's saying that he gonna place able men, men of truth, men of righteousness. He gonna also place them so they can rule over the nations, over tens, over thousands, over 50. Next, let's go to Isaiah 66 and 1. Isaiah 66 and 1. Isaiah 66 and 1, and it reads, thus said the Lord, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye built unto me? And where is the place of my rest? For all those things had mine hand made, and all those things have been. So he's saying, where is his house? Where is the house that was built for him? He said, my hand made everything, but there is not a house. And all those things have been, said the Lord. But to this man will I look, even to him that is poor and of a contrite spirit, and trembleth at my word. And so this is who he's going to be looking for. This is who's going to be in his kingdom. Let's go to Psalms 47, 2 and 3. Psalms 47. For the Lord Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. And so, he's the great king over all the earth. He is the Most High. And it says the Most High is terrible, because the Most High could destroy your soul, or he could bring back your soul. Alright, verse 3. He shall subdue the people under us, and the nations under our feet. So, he didn't say under his feet, he said our feet. So, who's our? Our is his saints. Our is his people who was doing what he said to do. And so, this kingdom going to be ruled by Jesus and his saints. Let's go into Psalm 66 and 7. Actually, we're going to read 6 and 7. He turned the sea into dry land. They went through the flood on foot. There did we rejoice in him. He ruled by his power forever. His eyes behold the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves, Selah. And so he ruled nations. He 67 and 4, and it reads, O let the nations be glad and sing for joy, for thou shalt judge the people righteously and govern the nations upon earth, Selah. So you hear that? He didn't say he's going to rule in heaven. He said he's going to rule the people on earth. And so for all of you who's going to heaven, he says here, he's going to rule righteously. He's going to rule the people righteously and govern the nations upon earth. Let's go into Psalms 103, 17 to 19. It says, "But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear him, and his righteousness unto children's children." Verse 18, "To such as keep his covenant, and to those that remember his commandments to do them, the Lord hath prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom ruleth over all." And so, for all the people who said that the commandment is done away with, he says to remember his commandment and to do them. The Lord hath prepared his throne in heaven, and his kingdom ruleth over all. Bless the Lord, ye his angels that excel in strength, that do his commandment, hearkening unto the voice of his word. And so if the angels go hearken unto the voice of his word and do his commandment, why can't we? Let's go into John 10 and 30. It reads, let me read verse 29. It says, "My Father which gave them to me is greater than all, because he is greater than all. And no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one." So this one world government going to be ruled by Jesus, and then he's going to give it to his Father. And they are one. Ecclesiastic 1 and 9. Now Daniel 4, 31 to 32. Daniel 4, 31 to 32. He says, "While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee." And so the kingdom is in the hands of Nebuchadnezzar right now, because Nebuchadnezzar was the first king, and the Lord gave the kingdoms over to him. And right now, this is the time of the Gentiles, and so it's the same. They fit right under the same thing as Nebuchadnezzar, because that's who he gave it to. And so this is the time of the Gentiles. But to hear what he says, he said the kingdom is depart from thee. And so it's right at the door, and these kingdom going to depart from the Gentiles, and the Lord is going to rule over them again. And then it says, "And they shall drive them from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass." As oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know the Most High ruleth in the kingdoms of men. And so he said the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomever he will, which he gave it over to the Gentiles. But he's going to take it back pretty soon. All right, let's go into Psalm 72. Psalm 72, verse 8. It says, "He shall have dominion also from sea to sea." There it is again. Sea to sea, that's the earth. So he going to have dominion from sea to sea. "And from the river unto the ends of the earth." Here it is again, the ends of the earth. For everybody who says they're going to heaven. He's not going to be in heaven. So you go up there, he ain't going to be there. He said he's going to rule from sea to sea to the ends of the earth. Let's go into jump into verse 11. He says, yea, all the kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him. So when he established his kingdom, all kings going to bow before him. All nations shall serve him. Let's go into Psalms 110 and 2. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Here it is again, out of Zion, Jerusalem. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Let's go Psalms 132 and 13. And it says, for the Lord had chosen Zion. He had desired it for his habitation. So what's his habitation? His habitation is where you live. So he says Zion is where he had chosen for his habitation. So Zion is in Jerusalem, here on earth. And then he says, verse 14, this is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. So, for you people who's going up to heaven, he said he has the desired Jerusalem, Zion, forever. So he's going to rule from Jerusalem forever. Revelation 21, 1 and 2. It reads, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. And so this new government is coming down out of heaven to Jerusalem, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So this kingdom was prepared from the beginning, and it will be coming down. And then verse 3, I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. Where is men? Right here on earth. So he says the tabernacle of God is with men. Because he wants to, he has always wanted to dwell with men. That's why he had children. And they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them. So who's God himself? The Father. He will be with them and be their God. All right, let's go chapter 2 and verse 27. Revelation 2 and 27. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessel of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And so they're going to be broken because they're going to be full of sin, and so he's going to have to change their ways. Let's go back over to Psalms 2. Psalms 2. I'm going to read 1 and 2. Psalms 2, 1 and 2. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Because that's what they're going to do when he comes back. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And so, this is what they say, and they're going to want to fight against the Father. But hear what the Father said. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Because he gonna laugh. He's sitting laughing at them because they think that they could do anything to him. And the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. And so he gonna speak to them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. That sore displeasure, they're gonna die. He says, I will declare the decree. The Lord had said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Alright, let's go to Judges 8. Judges 8, 22 and 23. It reads, Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, Rule thou over us, both thou and thy son son also, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of the Midian. So they telling Gideon to rule over them because they had delivered him from Gideon. But Gideon said, no, it wasn't me. Verse 23. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. So Gideon saying, no, you're asking the wrong person. I ain't going to rule over you or my son. But the Lord shall rule over you. Because the Lord is the one that saved them. And so he's the one who's going to rule over us when he comes back with this one world government. Let's go James 4 and 12. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who art thou that judgest another? So, there's only one lawgiver. That's Christ. So, this was a short lesson. That's the last verse. And so I hope you get some understanding. But have no fear when you hear about this one world government and the new world order and the microchip and the mark of the beast and all this stuff, because all this stuff have to happen. But if you are in this world, you know there's a place of safety when this thing comes. And so after all this thing happened, then this new government will come down from heaven. So Israel, this is Danny Israel, and from the Israel's Vineyard, and I hope you get some understanding from this lesson.